So what are the stages of the spiritual awakening process? This video I'll be sharing all these stages as well as why do they happen. But before that, show reel. Pranam, Namaste, my name is Garret. Before I start the topic off, please make sure you guys remember to hit like, subscribe and comment your learnings in the comment section below. I'm dedicated to make 4 videos a week to spread more light and positivity out there to the world. It's also nice to know where you guys are tuning in from so we could actually connect within this space, okay? So this topic itself is all about spiritual awakening and the processes, the stage. So please bear with me, this is quite a lengthy topic because I'm going through all the entire spiritual awakening process, all the stages that one would actually go through, but some of them might go through at different sequences, so it may not always have to happen in this sequence that I actually listed out. So just so you know, actually there's quite a lot of notes that I've actually created for this video, so it's gonna be a lengthy one. So if you are really interested or you think that you may be going through a spiritual awakening or you are looking to go through a spiritual awakening process, then this video is definitely for you, okay? So without further ado, let's head into the topic. What are the stages of the spiritual awakening process, okay? So just like I mentioned, this whole spiritual awakening process, right, is gonna be special for different people. It may be different across all. Everyone are special in their own way, okay? So it may take place at a different sequence, okay? Like I mentioned earlier. So first stage, okay? Stage 1 is what we call the initial awakening, or what we call the triggering stage, okay? So this is usually happen after a traumatic event. This is what would likely happen, stir you to go into a triggering, okay? So when a triggering happens, right, the sense of self is actually affected. Okay, so your sense of self is basically the ego. So we have ego with us, okay, and it's going to follow all of us till the day we die, okay? So you may have experienced something that has triggered your ego so much that it suddenly dies off. Your ego out of no reason is like, oh, wow, what happened, okay? And your current reality, right, is actually starting to be questioned because of this traumatic event. So that is where spirituality actually comes in, okay? And take for instance, like someone passed away, okay? Or it may have ended in a relationship. So this relationship might have hurt you so much, so it might have caused you to trigger that. So it may also be a loss of job. So for my instance, it's continuously a loss of job, okay? So that happens also. That's more of like accumulation of stress, okay? So my situation is accumulation of stress and loss of job, okay? Because mine happened during the COVID period, okay? So accumulation of stress could be like you go into the same job and you are sick of that job, okay? You're always constantly getting the type of stress that you don't like and you don't enjoy, okay? And it may be repeating circumstances. So for me, it's repeating circumstances. So I've been having a lot of job changes and it has never been smooth for me, okay? Or at least I thought that it hasn't been smooth for me. I could say if I look back right now, I'm not in the mental state or I'm not in the capacity to actually handle the job in the past. I can view it in that way right now because my outlook in life is much more positive at this point, okay? Or it could be your consciousness could have enough of your current reality. You may have been going through a lot of stresses that is going on. So enough is enough. So it suddenly exploded, okay? Or you may have actually been exposed to certain information you've seen online like Facebook or TikTok or even my YouTube. Okay, you've been hearing me speak. Some of you have been my following in TikTok or even following on Facebook. You may have been hearing some of these contents and some of this information that are new to you might have blown your reality and suddenly start to trigger your initial awakening. So something that has triggered your sense of self, or perhaps you may have read something on the books or online, then it may have triggered that awakening, okay? Or it could be a paranormal event. Okay, so take for instance like ghostly sightings, spirits. Okay, certain people go into spaces and suddenly they see some kind of orb, or they see some kind of spiritual beings move past you, or they feel something, they have goosebumps, things like that. So, or you may have somebody that has passed away and suddenly you see their spirits. So it makes you question, is there more to life? What is this spirit? Am I a spirit? So things like that actually start to stir in your eyes, okay, in your mind. Psychic experience itself, like seeing a medium, okay, or you've seen synchronicities out there, out of body experience, profound dreams, or even astral projections, visions of the future. So all these might have happened to you out of no reason. Okay, perhaps maybe you're having a good night's sleep, then suddenly you dream of the vision of the future, things like that. Okay, or you could even have all of the experience that makes us question ourselves, like, well, maybe I'm not just a walking chunk of meat. Okay, maybe there's more to life, or maybe we don't die, and we are immortal. Things like this actually spark off your triggering moment. Okay, so after this whole stage of triggering, the initial awakening, it goes to stage 2, shock. Okay, so the shocking stage, right, what would happen is every information you just can't seem to soak in. You're still in this denial mode, I would say. So your subconscious is trying to battle your ego, and the spiritual mode is trying to, your ego and your soul, your spirit is trying to make sense of this and trying to come to a meeting point. Okay, and this is causing you a lot of anxiety. Okay, and it actually makes you relearn your current reality, which we actually thought that it is what it is. Okay, so there's more to this new reality that you are trying to learn of, and it is actually quite scary for some people. Okay, so in this whole process, old traumas will actually surface. Like for example, somebody hurt you, or you may have a bad childhood in the past, or you may have went through a broken relationship that has have actually impacted you really deeply internally. So these traumas will actually surface during this stage. It's like kicking the legs out of the table. Okay, so this is stage 2, the shocking stage. Okay, shock. Stage 3 itself is the searching and seeking, or the searching and finding. Okay, so it is more of like, especially if it's a sudden awakening, for some people, they would like to seek for answers, to try to revalidate their current reality or their current stages of awakening. They're trying to make sense out of it. Your ego itself is pretty much driven by the brain, so things that doesn't appear logical would suddenly make you question more of it, wanting to know more, wanting for you to find out answers. So you seek for answers to regain and rebuild this sense of self, this reality. Okay, and you try to soak it and try to make it seem like it's normal. Okay, especially you try to look for credible sources. Okay, credible sources, like you read online, you read on newspaper, you read in the media. Okay, all these are the credible ones. Okay, so you find out about your individual truth. Okay, during this process, you find out more information about it. Especially if you've seen a spirit, you want to know what's the sign. Why am I seeing this spirit? Okay, you might make you think, why did I see that? Or am I a spirit? Things like that, you will start to stir in your mind. Okay, you search for more answers, and you try to soak it in, so that you start to ground yourself during this whole process. You make sense of this thing. Okay, this stage to some people for some people it might actually stay for up to about a year. Okay, for some long instances. For me, it was quite quick. Okay, because when I grew up, I was a little bit in the spiritual. My family was a very spiritual kind of family, and I was exposed to a lot of spirituality, a lot of different type of religions and all. So it's not a very new thing to me. But then again, nonetheless, it's still quite a shocking process, and it was a lot of seeking and searching, because all this is still new. Okay, and you learn more about yourself to stabilize yourself during this whole stage of searching and finding. Okay, then after that, you go into stage 4, which is paranoia. So for some people, you might not have this stage of paranoia. So some people might see it smoothly, might go through it smoothly. For me, I have a little bit of it. So during the whole process of awakening, paranoia itself is like it makes someone feel paranoid about their current reality, or what would happen if I go through this awakening in full, and what would happen if I become possessed by spirits, things like that. So this whole process would make you paranoid. Okay, some people might be paranoid, but some people might just go through the whole motion and go with the flow. Okay, so you might feel like you have been a targeted feeling. So like by the information that you know. So take for instance, maybe you found out the deep secrets of the dark secrets of the world. Okay, and you feel like the rich people or the influential people are out to get you. Some people might have this sort of feeling too. Okay, some of you might be thinking spirits are here to get us, or around us are trying to, or even perhaps negative entities that they are trying to get through you, or they can actually hurt you, but eventually you find out that you actually can do some form of psychic protection to actually prevent all that from happening. Okay, so this is the stage of paranoia. You are worried about what might happen but may not happen. Okay, so the next stage 5, which is quite a bugger. Okay, I would say it's quite a bugger. So this stage everyone will have to go through. I would say most of it, 99% of them will have to go through this stage, which is what we call the dark night of the soul. Okay, this is the stage whereby we go through healing and purging. Okay, so in this whole stage of dark night of the soul, I actually went through it. Some people might have to go through it 2 or 3 times. So for me, I went to about 3 times already right now. So if the first dark night of the soul, right, usually will be the longer one, could be up to months. So subsequent ones could be just weeks and days. So it depends on individual as well. Okay, so during this stage of dark night of the soul, right, a lot of traumas would actually, especially the trapped accumulated emotions, right, in the past will start to surface. Okay, it's like, here you go, here's everything that has happened to you, ever happened in your life. Okay, they slap you in the face and now go deal with it. It's this kind of feeling. Okay, you have to go deal with it. It suddenly all slaps you in the face and come up. Okay, and it's because of the sense of self. Okay, the ego is actually breaking down, so it leaves us actually vulnerable, and all this unhealed past, right, all this stuff inside your subconscious suddenly surface. Okay, so this is the whole process of dark night of the soul, and up comes the events of the past. And we are actually reliving these events, and sometimes you're just sitting there and you may have flashbacks of the past. You may even start staring into space and is involved in only your head. You'll be thinking, oh, why am I thinking of things that has happened to me during my childhood? It has been a bad childhood. Things like that might start to surface. Okay, and these flashbacks, you can not only have flashbacks, you can also have flash forwards during this whole process, as well as anxiety when flash forwards happen. Okay, thinking of what's going to happen in the future, especially when you have visions. So take for instance, you see things that you may start to see things that you can predict in the future. Some people, because once you are receiving cosmic energy, you are able to do that. So when that happens itself, right, then you start to become very paranoid again. So you go back to the previous stage, which is a bit of paranoia involved. Okay, and the dark night of the soul, right, then start to actually evolves you as well into some form of deep despair, some kind of loneliness, which I'll get on into a minute. Okay, so it's like isolation, and you start to do purging, and physical symptoms. You feel heat, you feel shaking, you feel vibrations, and subsequently some people will go through Kundalini awakening. Okay, so for me, I went through my Kundalini energy shifting as well. Okay, and awakening through. So you might feel heat rising as well as more paranoid feeling. Okay, and some people just can't relate to that. Okay, and you also don't feel like you can relate to anyone. So this is a very despair stage of the spiritual awakening. Okay, it can be a very, very dark time. Okay, and it will actually make and subsequently I'll actually make an in-depth video on just this dark night of the soul, because I think it's pretty important, just so people don't get confused with depression. Okay, so stage 6, loneliness. Okay, which I've actually mentioned just now. Okay, so this loneliness stage, right, can last a very long time, and for some people it might actually last for a long time until they start to see, or they start to find a community of like-minded individuals. So for me, I've actually found myself a master. So inside that master's group, there's a lot of community out there, so I actually connected with them. So they're all like-minded people. They all went through this kind of journeys before, so this is nothing new to them, so we could connect easily, you see. And so suddenly we are thrown out of alignment. This whole stage of loneliness happens because we are thrown out of alignment with our friends and families. Okay, they don't see eye to eye with you with you anymore, because your thinking, your perspective has shifted, and we see things very different from with them. You see, from their thinking, and our current thinking is currently off balance, is out of alignment, and they think we've gone cuckoo, gone nuts. Okay, until they think that you're borderline crazy. So certain cases are like that. So I experienced that too. Okay, so actually quite a great degree as well. Okay, I wanted to tell people about what I've been learning, about what I've been realizing, because I thought it's quite important for them to know. Okay, so, and well, that's the basis of this YouTube channel as well. Okay, so but you can see that it's actually not very well received. Okay, and perhaps people just don't seem to understand because they are not in my shoes, or they are not in your shoes, especially if you're going through one. Okay, and some people simply just don't bother. Okay, they just get on with their life. They think that everything is just normal. Okay, and the type of response I get, they think that I was going nutty, and they come to realize that I was still okay eventually. Okay, and they feel like they are losing the person that they love, and they are worried about you. Okay, so after a while, they just see that you're okay and you're just a little bit quirky. They just find that you're coming up with something funny online and stuff like that. Okay, after a while, they accept you for who you are. So some people, at least most people anyway. Okay, if you are from a religious background, then it becomes a little bit tricky. Okay, because some religious people are pretty hard on their relatives or their loved ones when they go into spiritual awakening. Because end of the day, spiritual awakening is not anything to do religion anymore. You understand oneness, and oneness is everything, including all religion. Okay, so loneliness, right? Rejection, isolation, that can make other phases even harder is during this stage. Okay, it's harder to relate to people because your perspective has changed. You no longer think in the way like last time. Okay, and you create. Sometimes you just need to find someone that you could actually talk to. At least tell them the diluted version of what you're going through right now. It's not like you tell them the full one, because if you tell them the full one, and if they haven't went through it, they'll think that you're crazy as well. So tell them the diluted version. So find somebody that you could really talk to, perhaps a good friend, that a really close friend that you could resonate with. Okay, or at least you can reach out to certain people online as well. You could reach out to me if you find that you could talk to me as well. So definitely there's some emails that we could connect. I've actually listed out in my AGA session, so you could contact me. That's how we could actually connect. See, so then this is actually a very common phase because you are out of alignment with your friends and families. Okay, so your interests have changed, and that they think that you're losing it, and it is actually quite sad. Okay, but in a way, you are finding the truth, your truth, and that's what matters. Remember this. Okay, and next stage 7, your priorities change. Okay, so life changes. Okay, priorities change. You start worrying, what's my purpose? Okay, your priorities will change because perhaps you may be swept up in your own head about your work and your career in the past, and money and material possessions are a lot important in the past. But right now, you find that if somebody just dies, then they don't bring along their money and their possessions. So suddenly all these perspectives suddenly change. So you find out that what's important in your life is so far is no longer just about money, is life itself. Okay, and then your priorities might change, and you realize that you need to live in the present moment. Okay, spend more time with the ones you love, and you enjoy the beauty in life. That's the more important thing. Okay, certain materialistic things that aren't so important anymore on your priority list. You see, so you find a hole in that part of there's rebuilding in you. Okay, and others can find that strange because they find that, hey, suddenly you're no longer concerned about monetary possessions and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you're going through this whole process, right, especially for those priorities that have changed, and having a partner that hasn't went through this whole process, you might have to convince your partner. At least let them know that you need to have proper communication with your partner, okay? Because it can throw you out of alignment with them if you don't have good communication as well, and that may cause a lot of problems in relationship. Especially for me and my wife, when I was going through a spiritual awakening, she wasn't able to accept initially. So it's hard for people to accept. So it takes a lot of communication eventually to get through it. But you just know that you will get through it, okay? So stage 8, okay, we realize that we need healing. So during this stage, right, that's where you do inner work, okay? And we've been having this subconscious purging due to the massive energetic shift during the awakening, okay, that's going on within you. It's like, it's not just mental alone, okay? It's this energetic shift, right? We realize we need some form of healing within us. There's a lot of things that's coming out from your subconscious mind that requires you to purge away, okay? And these memories coming up, emotions come up, stuff that we don't know were there, all comes up, okay? So then we might realize we need to embark on a journey of healing, energetic healing, emotional healing, and inner work to start to perceive the reality, okay? So we don't get swept out in our own thoughts again and believe the stories of what this thing has been telling us, and being the present moment and having gratitude is gonna be helpful. Looking back and actually healing up all those traumas that has already caused us harm and hurt, okay? And all the unfavorable circumstances, learning about the self in these circumstances, and we feel as though, and we do about ourselves, at least all those things that we thought that was bad about ourselves, we start to heal up from that as well. All the limiting beliefs about our reality and how we can improve that, okay, in this whole process. Stage 9, you start to notice paranoia. You start to notice phenomena, okay? So we begin to notice spiritual phenomena, and we are beginning to accept it more and more. So synchronicities out there, you start to see angel numbers, so on and so forth, okay? So because our energies are changing and we have had our purging, okay, our vibrations often go low, and so low sometimes, and every time it goes low, right, know that it will rise up again, okay? But it does start to swing up eventually. So these vibrations that was low during the dark night of the soul, okay, know that it will eventually bounce back, okay? So our vibrations, okay, and we have these new tools to help our vibrations rise during this whole process. During the searching and finding stage, you probably found a lot of information of how to raise your vibrations, okay? And due to that, we are more in alignment to a spiritual phenomena, okay? We relax more as well, okay? A relaxed mind opens our mind to other phenomena that opens our perception of range and our third eye, okay, this thing. And we start to work on our third eye in cleansing and clearing, which eventually I'll make a video about the third eye, okay, how to activate it, and eventually how to cleanse and how to clear it, okay. So the third eye starts to cleanse, and therefore we start perceiving more. We start perceiving synchronicities and we follow them, and we realize that our reality is communicating with us, okay. We start to realize that we have beings that travel with us through time and space, okay. So your spirit guides, your guardian angels, your ascended masters, your relatives, okay, your deceased past relatives, all this are actually able to follow and communicate with us, okay, things like that. So they are just not incarnated this time, and they are called our spirit guides, okay. So we can chat to them with our minds, okay, and we can even chat to them out loud, okay, so that they don't infringe on our own free will, okay. We can ask them for help and they will actually help us, okay. And we start to perceive more spiritual phenomena in our reality, spirits, psychic abilities, psychometry, reading energies of places, telepathy, seeing auras, and so on and so forth. Things like that start to become a new thing for you, okay? Stage 10, we start to feel better of ourselves. So after we swing so low, we are going to rise back up, okay? So we are doing inner work and we are on our spiritual path and start to feel better of ourselves, okay? We start to put into practice of what we learn. For some, they have quite a smooth spiritual awakening, and some they never go low, okay? Some people are actually mad, okay? But most often people do go low, okay? And when that happens, know the hermetic principle of polarity, okay? And the hermetic principle of rhythm, it always swings back up, okay? Just know that. and we experience good times again, and we emerge stronger in an evolved state, just like a butterfly that is about to hatch from its cocoon, able to enjoy life a lot better. Okay, we are feeling more healed, and we start to see the beauty of life itself. We are not as depressed and not as negative about the future. We don't blame others, we don't blame the society, we don't blame the government, we don't blame everything else. Okay, everything is justice. So we start to see the beauty in everything. Okay, stage 11, it swings. Okay, it's not always going to be a smooth ride after we feel better. Okay, so sometimes we come across some information that blows our minds and blows our mind wide open yet again, then it will bring us back into the dark night of the soul. Okay, so some of these stages might overlap here and there. Okay, some people might experience several stages at one go. Okay, we might realize some of this injustice that is covered up in the world that has happened to us and the world and makes us feel low again. And we might know something that questions ourselves in the nature of reality, which causes us in anxiety once more. But we start to feel better, and we know that we will feel better eventually. Okay, which we swing low into the dark night of the soul, know that it too can get better. Okay, so for me, just this earlier several months ago, I was reading this book about karma. Okay, and I realized that healing itself, and I actually healed up a parrot during the whole process, and that parrot itself got better. But I knew that I healed the parrot. Okay, and that was something very deep for me, because I know that I can eventually heal people and heal others. And I was healing my neighbor, I was healing my friends, healing my colleagues. Okay, and one thing that I read in the book on karma itself is that I'm only solving the problem, but I'm not solving the root cause, which is their own karma. Okay, to begin with. So that thing sent me into a dark night of the soul again for several days, and I was very, very mind blown by that fact, and I couldn't accept that, because even though I solved their problems and I was feeling that pain too. Okay, I was receiving their pain. People think that I thought that I was healing them in the whole process. I was healing them, but I know that subsequently, after several months, it will come back again. So that was something that was pretty hurtful for me. Okay, so next thing is you start to handle your reality better, and you do rebuild the self. The ego can swing back eventually. Okay, some people say that they would prefer not to have a spiritual awakening, but deep down, after a while, they will feel that they are wrong again. Okay, spiritual awakening is meant for you. Okay, and they know that this is because what the subconscious mind is trying to offer them the truth, and they know that there was a remembering, an innate remembering in the time of when they are born. Okay, there's this innate remembering that they are trying to let them know about. Okay, the ego sometimes does swing back. Okay, time to time, may try to hanker after certain possessions and things that you're not really interested in it sometimes. But sometimes we may just want, I want a little bit more money, I want a little bit more luxury. But sometimes you know that it's not what you want truly. Okay, it comes back sometimes, but it goes away very quickly also. Okay, it's not always a smooth ride. Some people fall off their spiritual path a bit and they come back on it again, and then they fall off again and then they come back again. So some just sail along smoothly. Everyone is different, so know this. Okay, stage 12, accepting yourself. You start to understand yourself and you accept who you really are, and you are actually eventually leads you to self-love. Okay, when you have self-love, you can really interact with others better. You can really enjoy the world and the beauty where you find it. Okay, and you have the self-assurance and confidence that to do so, which is really important. Okay, because if you don't self-love, you got no assurance and you got no confidence, right? Other people tell you certain things, then you fiddle again. So things like that doesn't happen when you go through this whole stage. Okay, and 2, you can love others. Okay, you can love others lots and lots, but you can't love them the same degree if you don't learn to love yourself. That's what I actually coached one of my ex-boss, and that actually helped him a lot. Okay, and why just have love for others when you can have love for the self too? Okay, because you are also important. Just know this. An individual just like others, love for the self is important. So learn to take care of yourself. Okay, so you can actually have more and more, and as you heal more and more too. Okay, Stage 13, seeing the beauty in life. Okay, so you start to realize more concepts like oneness. Okay, and now everything is that this energetic reality is one part, okay, of one infinite being, and therefore when we look upon someone else and we project certain emotions and feelings towards them, okay, these energies reflect on ourselves as well. Okay, so you're just not looking at somebody as somebody. We are all connected in this oneness. Okay, and realize it's all about energies and how these energies actually project and affect certain people and affect you as well. Okay, so we start to have more love and understanding, unity. Okay, we feel more inner peace and tranquility and happiness. Okay, and we meditate more and more, and we are like a calm kind of pond. Okay, and when people throw stones at the water, it doesn't ripple much. We are just like this state in this stage. Okay, and doesn't ripple as much. Okay, we just don't get triggered so much anymore, and sometimes we ripple more in happiness rather than negativity. Okay, and we enjoy a lot of pleasantness rather than all the negative emotions. But in other words, sometimes we do still have negative emotions. We are not perfect. Okay, so we do have negative emotions. Sometimes I do get angry, I still do get upset, but most of the time you don't get triggered anymore. Okay, at least you've improved so much. Okay, so in other words, take your time. Okay, some people I've heard, okay, say that they are awakened 2 weeks ago and they are trying to rush through this whole process of awakening, and they expect it to be like fully and feeling better within 2 weeks. Okay, so fully healing up and enlightened all after all this and all the rest, right, is just doesn't happen that quick. Okay, you need to take your time. Okay, for me at least, I know I'm still going through these stages slowly by slowly, and know that spiritual awakening is not gonna end. Okay, you're always gonna find new awakenings after awakenings, things that gonna blow your mind more and bring you higher until you reach a higher density, until enlightenment. Okay, so awakening is gonna last throughout your life. Once you awaken to new things, there will always be new realizations, new learning, new information, knowing it and then understanding it, then embodying it. All this takes time. Okay, so, and I also touched about things trying to figure out about your own purpose, right? This becomes a big question mark in your head. Okay, so this whole purpose, right, is, you know that why would you want to think about your purpose again? Because all your priorities change, right? So now that your priorities have changed, perhaps I want to do something that is much more meaningful, like helping others, perhaps working out in an ethical company and that is making a big difference rather than making just profit. You no longer feel that you're aligned with this kind of profit things only and destroying the environment, so on and so forth. Okay, so oftentimes people search for a new path which is ethically driven and is willing to help others and finding more enjoyment in their work because they are finding a lot more satisfaction in that area and they are motivated to do so, and often making a difference and a positive difference. So take for instance, for me, I'm an interior designer for past 13 years, and I thought that I've always wanted to be an interior designer, and I've always been passionate about it since young. But I was wrong. When I was doing inner work, I realized that it was a misunderstanding. Okay, in the past when I was younger, I thought that I wanted to do interior design because I was watching this program called Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Okay, whereby people was doing charity, the media was doing charity for those unfortunate ones, and that they are living in a very poor home and living condition. So the media actually took over and actually helped renovate for them, and actually donated a huge sum of money to these people who are actually kind-hearted people and generous people as well, but they are just the unfortunate ones. So I saw the look in their faces, and I find that it's pretty meaningful to be a designer, because that's what it is, right? I wanted to help others, so that was something that I got misunderstood. So that actually, this misunderstanding led me towards being an interior designer for the past 13 years, and it took me so long to find this out until I actually went to a spiritual awakening, did some inner work, heal up from the traumas and all the past experience. Then I realized that my priorities changed. I no longer want to just make a living for for the sake of making a living, because it turns out that interior design is not all about that. Interior design in the world out there is all about commercialize. It's all about trying to make it look good and cheap, want to make more profit, and destroying the environment in the whole process of buying materials, things like that. So priorities will change. So now I realized that my whole process is trying to change people's lives. I always wanted to teach, I always wanted to mentor others, I always wanted to coach people, and I realized that I'm good at that, and I realized that I always enjoy helping others. So now I've shifted towards life coaching. Okay, so this is why I say you will rethink your whole purpose throughout this spiritual awakening process, and you no longer see yourself in alignment with what you were in the past. Okay, so I hope you've learned something from this very lengthy video. It's already reaching 40 minutes, so please bear with me. If this is something for you, please resonate and really watch through this whole video. If you can, separate it several times if you don't have enough time. Okay, but if you do, and if you find that this is gonna be very helpful for you, please learn something from this video and really go start doing your journey in spiritual awakening, because it's all about a matter of choice. Okay, it's gonna be beneficial for you. Okay, with that, I hope you learned something from this video, and if you do, please comment your learnings in this comment section below. With that, I am ending this off. Pranam, Namaste.